Oh my God.
Normalize getting a vasectomy.
Sugar Honey Bubble Tea, U.S. President.
2024.
Vote for us.
Hello, this is Sugar Honey Bubble Tea, your one and only source into the scandalous lives of the sugar mommies. I am Toby. Welcome back.
That is so seductive. Do people think they're listening to like an ebook of like an
50 Shades of Grey?
50 Shades of Grey.
I don't know how
audiobook.
it turned out like that, but yes.
Yes, this is Sugar Honey Bubble Tea. I'm not going to do my intro because you did a wonderful job. I am Ange.
Before we start today's episode, please go follow us on Instagram at sugahoneybbt. It's at SUGAHONEYBBT. We post a lot of content, so make sure you go there.
And yes, please also consider donating to us via PayPal to pay for our therapy.
Yes.
Because I would like to say that after today's episode, I will be billing my therapist. So
I will be billing you all.
I'll be billing the state of Texas.
Yes, you will be receiving a bill from me in 3 to 5 business days. Yes.
All right. Well, speaking of Texas, well, you obviously know what we want to talk about today. Today is all about
Circus do Texas.
the circus do Texas.
Yes.
Abortion.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know why we're talking about this, well, obviously because we're women and not only amplifying Asian woman voices, we like to amplify women in general, women's voices.
Yes.
And if you're a woman or women leaning, women identifying, you need to listen to this episode. If you're a man or man identifying, I demand you listen to this episode.
I urge you.
No, I'm going to start demanding people. I don't urge anyone.
I demand you to PayPal us if you're a man. This is the last thing you can do
is PayPal us
for the patriarchy.
You started it. So for people who don't know, the state of Texas had passed a law called the Heartbeat Act. Heartbeat meaning that anyone, it's basically one of the hardest, most extensive ban on abortion. Anyone who gets an abortion over past 6 weeks could be sued, and anyone aiding them to get an abortion could be sued. Anyone basically giving a suggestion that they could get an abortion could be sued. Anything.
Even if you're giving them options of you can have the child or you can have the abortion, you will be sued.
Yeah.
See you at court.
And you'll be taken to civil court by whoever sues you. So it's basically your words against my words. And even if you're not convicted as crime, guilty, it will still take up a lot of your time and
you'll
energy.
have to pay for lawyer fees. FYI.
Yeah. So and also why it's called the Heartbeat Act is that in about 6 weeks you can detect a heartbeat from the fetus, and that's why they're saying that they're calling the Heartbeat Act.
Usually 6 weeks is like about halfway through the first trimester, so that's like the very, very, very beginning of your pregnancy.
Yeah, and as a woman, well, as someone whose period never comes on time, if I'm pregnant, I will not know until I'm giving birth.
Literally, you'll be like, why am I having this really bad stomach ache? And it's like,
why am I bloating for the past 9 months? I'm just having this really bad bloating.
You're in labor, hon.
I would literally take a shit and I just like, God. Oh, it's a baby. Because I never count my days. So for women like me, or any woman who have maybe like missed a week or two, that's 2 weeks of them not knowing that they're pregnant, and then they only have 4 weeks to go through the process to make a decision, to get an ultrasound, to get all this stuff that you have to go through to make an appointment. They might put you 7 weeks later and you could be sued for getting an abortion.
Yeah, you could be on a wait list for a while, hey?
And you know what's absurd?
Yeah.
Is that if I want to go get an abortion and I'm like, let me call an Uber, the Uber driver could be sued.
No one is going to take you.
No one's going to take me. Even if I told them I'm not getting an abortion, they're not going to take me.
Yeah, if you're going to Planned Parenthood, see you in court.
See
you in court, babe.
They could drop me off a block away and they could still be sued.
Yeah, honestly.
So this is absurdism. And we want to talk about this because, man, I was just kind of furious with the whole situation. I know it's been, the bill has been talked about for a couple of weeks now, even months, and it's just finally going through. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And man, how do you feel?
The whole time I was just like, I don't understand why this is even an issue. Like, I was just like doing my stuff and then looking at the whole world. I'm like, why are we making these non-issues suddenly an issue? Like, why is everybody suddenly minding everyone else's businesses?
Isn't that what the society is about? I feel like there's nothing else in a person's life if they're not minding other people's business.
Really? Y'all don't got a life or something?
In a white man's life? Nothing else brings them more joy.
True.
Than
oppression.
Than oppression and banning the liberation of women's rights.
Right.
There's nothing brings them more joy. I bet in the courtroom when this passed, they're just drinking tequila in the back and calling the strippers.
Oh my God. Just
like, there's nothing else more liberating for them to ban the liberation of women's rights.
Truly. It's so hard being a woman in this day and age.
Yeah. And I think basically the conversation about pro-life and pro-choice, we don't want to get into that. It's really we're both on the same side, so there's no debate and argument to be said about that. And I think the debate is really so it's kind of like a broken record that just keeps playing.
Yeah,
so
I feel like everyone can argue their side according to your own opinion and theory of what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
But today we're going to go into a more existential route of what is even right or wrong.
Yeah, morality.
Morality.
Is abortion a morality issue?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
Well, there's just like, I don't even know where to start. Like, abortion to me is not more so a morality issue. I feel like to me it's a choice of the woman. Like, there are morals of society and there are your personal ethics system that are constituted by your own morals and the societal moral. And I feel like you make that decision based on your own moral that forms your ethics system. But right now what they're doing is that I feel like they're trying to make abortion a societal moral issue.
Yes.
So as a uterus woman, what do I owe you? You know, like, what do we owe each other?
What does my uterus owe the society?
That's my question. Like, what do I owe you in this society? What do we owe each other that now you have to do this?
Because like I looked into what a pro-life activist thinks. Yeah. And basically their stance is that, okay, so pro-choice is very simple. We're pro-choice. If I want to get abortion, I get abortion. If I don't want to get abortion, I have the kid. Great. Happy ending, whatever. It's my choice at the end of the day because it's my uterus, not yours. But for pro-life is that they think that for every movement, there's someone fighting that movement. So like Black Lives Matter, there's Black people fighting that movement.
Right.
Women's rights, there's women fighting that movement. Women's fertility rights, whatever. So there's someone fighting their movement.
Right.
You know? But there's no one fighting the fetus movement.
True.
So they are repping the fetus.
Yes.
Which to me is absurdism.
Absurdism.
Because who asked you?
Literally the fetus is like, nobody asked. Nobody asked. How do you even know we want to be born?
And people fighting the movement is like, me? Am I the center of attention?
Am I the drama? Am I the uterus owner? No, you're not, babe. Get over yourself.
So yeah, they're basically like there's a lot to get into. Like they think the first heartbeat constitute as a living thing, like a life.
Right.
So therefore, when you get an abortion, is murder is the case.
I question that though. Like I thought about that and I was like, true. You know, heartbeat does constitute a living life. Mm-hmm. So does it in every other, I guess, animals, you know, whatever organism.
Yeah.
But like, if the heartbeat doesn't, if it's just alive and there's no like consciousness or thought or decision making ability, does it still constitute as a living human? You know?
Because it can constitute as a life, but does it constitute as a human being in this society?
Right.
Is it contributing anything at this point?
Yeah, because you know how some philosophers are like, humans have right because you earned your rights to be here, you know? So some people are like living or being alive is different, I feel like.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. I have no...
Like that really cliche saying, like, are you living or are you exist? Are you living or are you existing?
Yeah.
A fetus is merely existing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's living yet.
Yeah, because
it has not been to Disneyland. It has not formed a thought.
It has not suffered with the world.
Yeah. We're definitely getting canceled by some people after this episode, but
yeah,
whatever.
The entire Christian community. Christian mingle.
Oh, I want to ask you. You came from a Christian family background.
Yeah.
How does abortion, or how is your view on abortion? Has it ever changed?
I think when I was younger, I definitely thought it was wrong.
Right.
But
so,
because
like morality wise, it was wrong.
Because when I was young, I feel like everything is very black and white. To you. You were taught that, you know, this is good and this is bad. You should behave a certain way.
Yeah.
But as I get older, I get more traumatized.
Or recognizing the trauma.
Yeah. And like I started to realize there are a lot of things are like gray areas.
Yeah.
And I also realized that I just need to mind my own business, really. Like my life is so full of traumatic experience that I now have to debunk. I have no bandwidth.
Do you think people who are pro-life they have never, because you said you have to go through traumas and like all these like realizing your traumatic experiences to realize that there's just so much going on, you don't want to mind other people's business. Do you think it's just they've never been oppressed?
Maybe.
Like they've never been like have to go through enough I don't know, hardship. So then they're like, let me mind other people's hardship.
True. But I think as you get older, or as I get older, I realize that there's really a lot of times there's no right and wrong. It's it's like good and bad is always relative.
Yes.
To a certain extent. So there are a lot of things where I now am less like, this is good, this is bad. I'm more of like a lukewarm person now, unless I'm like really want to shit on someone, you know?
Then it's hot takes.
Then it's like
and cold shoulders.
Yeah, cold shoulders. Yeah, but I just realized that it's hard for me to be like, yes, pro-life because abortion's bad. You know, it's hard for me to be like that right now because there's so many contexts and so many scenarios. It's not like a one size fits all situation.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to add, the law contains exception in the case of medical emergency, but not in the case of rape or incest, which is absurdism. Absurdism. So like if I get pregnant and I'm in the state of Texas and I have to fake my own medical emergency.
Yeah, you have to throw yourself down like 4 flights of stairs.
Yeah, and like get someone to punch me in the stomach. Oh, they might get sued. I have to punch myself in the stomach.
Literally. And it's just like so absurd because it's like you can literally rape someone, commit the crime of rape, and not really get charged. But as a person who gets raped and wants to get an abortion, you will get sued. Like, what kind of fucking clownery is that?
The circus de Texas.
The circus. You know what? I urge President Biden to abolish prison in all 49 states and just make Texas one big prison.
Make Texas one big federal prison.
Make Texas the prison. Send everyone to Texas. Send all the inmates to Texas and move everyone out.
Build a wall. If you want to build a wall, that's the wall. Texas.
Move everyone out of Texas. That's it. That's it. That's my no nuance hot takes.
Sugar Honey Bubble Tea, U.S. President 2024.
Vote for us.
Vote for us. Become our lobbyists by PayPaling us.
PayPal.
Yeah. And and we will fight for the state of Texas to become a federal prison.
Yes. And we'll make sure all women get their rights answered.
Oh, man. Like, okay, for me, the issue of morality really is non-existing. I think morality isn't the law. Morality, the law might have come from morality. So like morals is like a good moral person is like they wouldn't kill someone. So then they put it in the law, like, oh, you can't kill someone because it's wrong.
Yes.
But morality really came from religion and cultural cultural advancement, or society advancement. So, like, okay, for example, 70 years ago, gay sex was wrong. So, through the lens of morality, they're like, homosexuality is wrong.
Yeah.
But 70 years later, look at us. Pride parade everywhere.
Yeah.
Loving the gays, everyone. So now through the lens of morality, now gays, homosexuality is normalized.
Right.
Like by society, we deem it okay. So in that sense, morality is something that shifts through time and through society advancements. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't even... It's not even real, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's not even a real thing.
Yeah, I feel like morality can be so, like, anecdotal sometimes. And obviously, as a society, there's, like, a construct of, you know, what's good morally and what's bad.
Yes.
But it's like...
Societal contract.
Yeah. But some things shouldn't be measured by the moral. It's your own choice. It's your own belief system, essentially, your own ethics system that's being measured. So why is it being judged by the moral? Also, if you're judging everything by the moral, then it's like, okay, if I murder someone, that's bad, according to the law. But like, what if I murdered my abuser?
Yes.
I've been abused for 20 years. And so I murdered him. Does that constitute me as wrong? Because if I don't murder him, one day maybe he would murder me. Yes. So it's like you can't just measure everything by the so-called laws or the right or wrong or, you know.
Like I think we follow morals to the extent of our own ethics.
Yeah.
And by that, it's like morality is kind of like a baseline for people to be like, oh, like sometimes I feel like I don't have the right morals. Like I talk about this all the time. Like sometimes I feel like I'm a shit person, but I just live with it. Like if today I got an abortion in Texas and it's legal, for instance, and people think I'm a murderer still, like pro-life activists think I'm a murderer. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's your choice. You know, that's your morals and your ethics to think that I'm a murderer. And I'm fine with that because it's my choice to get an abortion. Yeah. So it's like what you think is inside your own mind. Like I can't change you. So neither can you change the way that I want to deal with my body or how whether I want to get abortion or not.
Yeah, like my whole problem with this, like abortion, pro-life, pro-choice, or whatever aside, is the fact that people are forcing their own ideology onto other people and like arguing with these very like so-called scientific facts that I'm just like, I don't understand why we are creating
issues
when there should be like none, like,
or if anything, it's my issue.
It's not yours. If I'm pregnant, I had me to me sex. I'm pregnant, I decided to get an abortion. It's my issue, not yours.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so why is it all of a sudden fucking Bob next door's issue?
yeah, literally, I heard this man like talking about abortion, and he was like, yeah, I just realized that when I hear a fetus's heartbeat, I don't hear the heartbeat, I hear the soul. And bitches be oppressing female souls. Like the audacity for you to like come out here and be like, hearing the soul of the fetus.
One heartbeat and it's the soul. I'm like, it might cry for help. Do you hear as my
like,
soul?
No offense to the fetal community, but like, honestly, you can't just do that, you know? It's like hypocrisy at its finest.
Like, rappers would rep their city. And like, at what point do people be like, represent fetus? At what point?
Oh my god.
Represent like fetus
community.
I represent Toby's uterus. Fucking like,
it's like,
why? Please do not represent it. Please do not
get
represent
off
Fiona.
of my uterus. You are so far up into my cervix, I cannot hear my own thought. Seriously.
Get out of my asshole first.
Literally, I cannot. It's just so absurd. Like, it's like, as women, we're somehow our own choices of reproductive health, of sexual health, sexuality, are being used as indicators of our morals.
Yes.
It's
yes,
like,
it is.
In what world?
It's like your decisions really dictate whether you're a good person, bad person, or a slut.
Yeah, literally. And like,
you get an abortion. Oh, you're a bad person.
You're a bad person.
You wear a low-cut shirt. You're a slut.
You're a slut.
Oh, you sleep with 5 people in a span of half a year. You're a whore.
Good for you, hon.
Good for you, hon.
I feel like things like this don't happen to men. Because literally, men will be like, they will drop a whole Axe mixtape and be like, certified lover boy. And just like build it all on like their sexuality and their like, you know, ways with women.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah. And they will get like, everyone will think they're so woke and like manhood.
The whole album cover, was it pregnant woman in different color?
What?
If you are not watching the video right now, it's me making a really confused face.
Yeah. Like, no offense to Champagne Papi and his fan base, but like, you know, a woman can't just do that. Like, when we sleep around and hook up and flirt with all the men, suddenly we're a whore. Am I not a certified lover girl?
I don't hear nobody call me certified lover girl.
Yeah. Like, what is it with the different double standard?
It's a double standard. We talked about slut shaming before. We talked about like body image and it's the same thing that's just in different ways, coming back in different ways.
Right.
It's at the end of the day is liberation of women's rights and choices. And it's just coming back to hunt us in all different forms, types, ways. But I would say like the thing about morality is that people link morality to women's sexualities and their choices. But it wasn't even a morality issue to start with.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like, how does the way I dress constitute or dictates who I am?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Or like I'm acting based on my own belief system. So why do I owe you to follow your own belief system? Maybe you believe that, oh, if you do this, then you're a bad person. Okay, but I don't believe that. So why, to what extent do I have to follow your moral? I don't really. Isn't this a free world?
Oh, and you know what's absurd? People outside of Texas can sue someone in Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can technically sue a woman that got an abortion
What?
after 6 weeks, and it will be okay. But you just gotta go and you gotta go rep yourself at civil court.
Babe, get a life.
I know. That's absurd. And also, what I find interesting.
Can you imagine someone just from like, I don't know, like Rhode Island?
Just like I heard about this woman who told me about this woman who got abortion. I'm gonna get her ass.
Get her ass.
I'm like, get her ass, that bitch.
Says the bitch in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Literally.
Anyone can sue you.
Wow.
Yeah. When I first heard it, I just can't believe we're still talking about this. Because I think we're in Canada, abortion is legal. And
Yes.
we're from Taiwan, abortion is also legal. So we're
Yeah.
quite privileged in the sense where we don't have to fight this. But it's insane to think that a first world country as advanced as America have states that passes through laws like this that is still so belittling women and their freedom. And and I'm hearing people say that there are other states that wants to follow through with the same law in their own state. So Ohio could be next, like somewhere, like I don't know where,
Tennessee.
but Tennessee, like, yeah, North Dakota. I don't know.
North Carolina.
I'm naming all the states that I know that
have never been to.
I've been to North Dakota.
To do what?
I drove through. I did a cross country and I drove through.
Okay, that makes sense. But
Yeah. I have nothing to say about that.
oh my God.
Yeah, the state it's a place.
Yeah, it's a state.
It's a state. But yeah, and I think because a lot of the times we see America as East Coast and West Coast, so New York, or and Los Angeles, where majority of people are more outspoken and more liberal, and so we think that America is a very liberal country, very civil. But there's a huge chunk of America that is kind of outdated, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because same-sex marriage just passed, like, what, Obama time? So if you really think about it, it's not that long ago.
No.
Yeah, and like, why? I think the whole country just really loves minding other people's business. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
I think it's because
There's nothing about, like, I'm not shitting on Americans. I'm shitting on the systemic
issues. I feel like maybe it's because they're so pride on like individualism. So they're just like, you know what? I am going to share thought that nobody has asked for. And I'm going to impose my belief and I'm going to make it a law.
The thing about individuality and our like continue as a society continue to grow, also part of the wellness trend.
Yeah.
That when we say individuality or like self-identity, I think is actually very limiting to who you really are. When you self-identify as someone that's labeled by the society, like, oh, I self-identify as a feminist. So therefore, you subconsciously or consciously start making all these decisions that you think a feminist would make, and you support these movements that maybe inherently you don't give a shit about. So yeah, so like maybe someone says, "Oh, I self-label, like I identify as, I don't know, like a Christian, and maybe they live in Texas, and they're like, well, as a good Christian and with morals, I have to be a pro-life activist. But then do you really believe in that? So like, I think that when you identify yourself as a certain label, you're actually putting a lot of limits around who you can be and are. Mm-hmm. So I urge people to identify as nothing. This is the conclusion. Nothingness.
None. I am not the woman I was this morning. I'm not a woman. I barely am. I am not. Just goes down to like nothingness.
So yeah, I think, also one thing that I thought was really interesting is that I continue to find that people think our podcast is about sex.
Yeah.
And therefore I get a lot of recommendations on like very sex driven, like recommendations, either it's TV or movies or... But we don't really talk about sex all that much. We talk about the uterus a lot, though.
Yeah.
Like pussies, vaginas. But like, we don't actually talk about sex all that much.
Yeah, I don't think either of us is having a lot of sex right now. But like, I also don't think we are, like, sometimes it's a little hard to define, but we are I would definitely not classify us as a sex podcast.
Dating, if anything. But not really.
Philosophical, if anything.
We're a philosophical podcast. Yeah.
Nuanced.
I say this because sometimes I feel this like subconscious, like people judge our podcast without really listening to our podcast.
Right.
Yeah. And do you think they think we're morally corrupted?
I mean, some people could. The Christian community would.
The Christian community,
yeah, the virginity community probably would too. But I mean, pick your own ethics, you know. Also, it's like people are so. I find that in this day and age, a lot of people lack imagination, like, or they lack the ability to like think and make your own decision. Like they take everything so face value now, or it's like so quick that sometimes it's like they will hear like, you know, these keywords or like two very outspoken women, sex positive, and they'll be like sex podcast.
Yeah. They just hear what they want to hear.
Yeah, it's like, baby,
go ahead.
I'm not flirting, just hot and talking. Please.
Yeah. The other day I met this man, and he was talking about, he was asking me like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do this, and I also run a podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's your podcast about? So I told him our usual intro, which is not the Gossip Girl one. the amplifying Asian woman voices
into
race.
The scandalous life.
Into the scandalous
sugar
life.
mommies of Lower Mainland.
Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
And I told him that's what our podcast is about. Race, dating, and wellness. And then he's like, is it one of those feminists like feminist podcast? You talk about feminism? He talks about feminism. He says the word feminism like he has never said that word before.
Is it
feminism? Feminist? And I was so triggered. I was like, what do you... Okay, well, first of all, define feminism.
Yeah.
And he's like, you just talk about like women's like rights and like things. Like, I'm like, you clearly have no idea what
they're using it as a buzzword because they have no idea what they're talking about.
I'm like, am I reading a BuzzFeed article? Because tell me what feminism is to you. I was so triggered.
Like, what absurdity.
Yeah, and I just stopped talking.
You're like, there is really no point for me.
There's really no point if you can't even define what it is for you. I don't want to sit here and define it for you.
Yeah.
That's my overall energy now. It's like, PayPal me, I'll argue with you. Otherwise, I'm just tired. I'm really tired.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand why we're still talking about these issues that shouldn't even be an issue in the first place.
And if anything, it's my issue, not yours.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's our hot takes on abortion. Abortion's linked with morality.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I don't know what else to say. I have
Me
no
at the
more
world every day. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know what else to say. And honestly, quite frankly, I am tired of saying anything more. Please go support, sign the petition, support any way that you can.
You can also support, I forgot what the organization is called. We can share on our Instagram.
Yeah.
But they basically help women to travel out of the state to get abortion.
Oh, that's
like,
wonderful.
Yeah, or like there's fun.
If you guys ever been to Texas, it's a huge ass state. So to get out of state to get an abortion, it takes hours.
It's like depending on where you live here and be like, I have to drive to Winnipeg to get a abortion, you know, like it's like absurdity.
Yeah, so it's really tough, and especially if it's teenage pregnancy, people who are pregnant and are like can't doesn't have the freedom to be able to, you know, drive themselves or even,
or like people who are financially challenged.
Yeah,
because like let's face it, like rich people will always find a way. Rich people will get an abortion even if it's banned, even if he's the last person on earth. Rich people will find a way to get the baby out of you. But if you're poor, the poor people, like, if they need an abortion, this ban won't stop them from getting an abortion, but it will make them go to, like, unsafe places to get an abortion. So it's just, like, at what cost, you know, are you saving your so-called life for another person's life?
Yes. And underground abortion clinics are so dangerous, and there's a rise in them because there is a need. So, and Planned Parenthood, even if they are performing abortions, now they're all very scared because they're scared for their staff to be sued. They're scared for their professionals to be sued. So it's really hard for anyone to get even an appointment. Like apparently, before midnight strikes, when the law passes through, there was a spike in rise in number of women who had done their 24-hour screening, which is something mandatory in the states of Texas if you're pregnant. And there was a rise in people trying to get an abortion before midnight. Yeah. This is really quite a big issue that we wanted to talk about. And and also what does men have to do with this? I like to say this as a last point. Like, if you are not the one experiencing pregnancy, giving birth, or even motherhood, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Like, patriarchy, hon.
Why is there control over our body? If
you think about birth control, like contraception method, there is so many contraception method that women can use or have the option to use, but women is only fertile for a week cap in your monthly menstruation cycle. Men is fertile every day. Every time he comes, he is fertile. So I just don't understand why there is no contraception method for men, and why is men now up in my cervix, like getting all into the uterus, having a say, passing the bill. Like, it's, you
know what I think? I have a we don't usually have solutions. I have a solution. Every man should be born after birth. They should get a vasectomy. Like immediately. It's like getting your foreskin taken off. Yeah. And the next thing is vasectomy. Yeah. And the only way to revert this vasectomy is that to a certain age, you get to a certain age, and you yourself think that you're responsible enough to respect women, children, and yourself.
Had to go through a rigorous course of sex ed.
And also, you have to go through a whole psychological screening.
Yeah, have a good credit score.
Yeah, have a good credit score. No, there's no loans or nothing, like no debts.
No.
You have to get a petition of 50 women to sign.
Yes, 2 references.
2 references, either from your close family, like a cousin you don't sleep with, a second aunt who can rep you.
Yes, a boss or whatever.
A boss. And the only people that are performing vasectomy reverts are women or women leaning.
Yeah.
And so that's your last gate.
Yeah.
So every man should be born without the ability to impregnate women.
Louder for the people in Texas. Honestly, if you think
that's my unpopular opinion.
let's normalize that.
Oh my God.
Normalize getting a vasectomy.
Sugar Honey Bubble Tea, U.S. President.
2024.
Vote for us.
Also, just my final thought, like,
this will go on until Sunday. And it's Friday now.
People should just be more empathetic. Like, if you know the great length that women go through for our own reproductive health, you would have never. Like, I urge all the certified lover boys to try and take a Tic Tac, not even a hormonal pill. Try and carry the same box of Tic Tac. Take a Tic Tac every day at 2:30 p.m. See if you can do it every day. That's what I have to do with my birth control pill. So just try that before you're like, can I come inside you?
What? Oh, how is feminism?
Feminism.
They can't even take their fucking vitamins in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just really mad. I still love men. Just the ones that I love.
Yeah, just the ones that I don't hate the world. Just disappointed, but yeah.
But really just fucking think. Just common sense. Just empathy. And love. Like, this is the only reason why. This is the reason why women are so strong. Because we have to deal with shit like this. Mm-hmm. But anyways, let's conclude. This episode.
Well, if you like this episode and if we're not canceled yet, you can go follow us at Sugar Honey Bubble Tea at SUGAHONEYBBT. And I might not give out my personal information because I'm scared for the Christian community. No, just kidding. If you want to keep up with the mommies, you can find us at BBT Mommy and at Sensitive Bow.
Yes, please. Check out our Instagram and chat with us. Oh, thank you for everyone who came out to the Hot People Picnic.
Oh yeah, we had so much fun.
Yeah, and thank you to all the sponsors that has supported us. And it's just, it was a grand time.
Yeah, it was a really good event with every hot people we can find in the Lower Mainland.
And we got some funds for our therapy, so that's great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go call my therapist. Bye.
Bye.